Long ago, in a quiet village where the moon seemed to know everyone by name, there lived a little boy called Tund. Tund was not born into riches, but he was born into love. His father was a farmer. His mother sold fruits in the market. They were not wealthy, but laughter lived in their house. Every evening, they sat together, ate together, and prayed together. And every night, his mother would say, "My son, life may not always be kind, but you must be stronger than life." Tund didn't understand those words then. He was only 7. Then one year, everything changed. First, sickness came, then fear, then silence. Within months, Tund lost both parents. The house that once echoed with laughter became empty. The cooking fire went cold. The bed felt too big for a small boy. And just like that, his life shattered. Relatives came. They spoke softly, shook their heads, and carried him away. At first, he stayed with an uncle, but there were too many mouths to feed. That he was sent to an aunt, but she had her own struggles. Then another relative, and another. Each house felt like a waiting room, not a home. He washed plates, ran errands, slept on mats near the door. No one really asked, "How are you, Tund?" They only asked, "Have you finished your work?" The love he once knew slowly disappeared, and in its place grew loneliness. One evening, after being scolded and beaten for breaking a plate he didn't even touch, Tund ran. He ran past the houses, past the market, past the place where his mother once sold fruits. He didn't stop. That night, he slept by the roadside. The cold wind became his blanket. Hunger became his companion. Days turned into weeks. The street welcomed him, but not with kindness. He met other boys like him, boys with no homes, no guidance, no dreams. They taught him how to survive, how to beg, how to snatch, how to lie, how to disappear when trouble came. Slowly, Tund changed. The innocent boy who once prayed with his parents began to live a rough life. He stole food, joined fights, followed older boys into trouble. Sometimes he laughed loudly, but inside, he was breaking, because deep down, he remembered his mother's voice. Life may not always be kind, but you must be stronger than life. But how could a street boy be stronger than life? One afternoon, while trying to snatch a phone at a busy junction, Tund was caught. The crowd gathered quickly, angry voices, pointing fingers. "Thief, beat him, teach him a lesson." Fear gripped his chest. For the first time, he thought this might be the end. Then, a calm voice broke through the noise. "Leave him." A man stepped forward. He wasn't shouting. He wasn't angry. He simply looked at Tund, not with hate, but with concern. "Why are you doing this?" the man asked. Tund couldn't speak. Tears fell instead. That was the first time in years someone asked him a question that sounded like care. The man took him away from the crowd, bought him food, sat beside him quietly until he finished eating. Then he said, "Your life is not over, my boy. You only lost your way." The man was a social worker named Mr. Aid. He ran a small center for street children, a place where boys learned skills, a place where they were reminded they were human. At first, Tund didn't trust him. He expected shouting, beating, rejection, but none came. Instead, he was given clothes, a bed, food, and something he had not felt in years: dignity. He began to learn carpentry, reading, writing. It was hard, very hard, because the street had taught him survival, not discipline. But Mr. Aid never gave up on him. Whenever he tried to run back to the streets, Mr. Aid would say, "A broken start does not mean a broken ending." Slowly, Tund began to believe. Years passed. The angry street boy became a focused young man. He worked harder than everyone, because he had seen the other side of life. He knew hunger, pain, rejection, and he never wanted to return there again. He mastered carpentry, started fixing chairs, building tables, repairing doors, People began to notice his work. They recommended him, supported him. Soon, Tund opened a small workshop, then a bigger one. He trained other street boys, gave them food, gave them skills, gave them hope, the same hope someone once gave him. Years later, the same boy who once slept by the roadside became someone people respected. Parents brought their children to learn from him. Leaders invited him to speak. The community called him Brother Tund. One day, he stood before a group of young boys who looked just like he once did. Barefoot, lost, angry. He looked at them and spoke slowly. "My story is not a story of perfection," he said. "I made mistakes. Many mistakes. I stole. I lied. I followed the wrong path. But someone saw me and chose to help me instead of judging me." He paused. His voice softened. "I learned something important in life. It is not how you start that matters. It is how you finish. You may be born in pain. You may grow in struggle. You may fall many times. But as long as you are alive, your story is not finished. Never let your past decide your future. And when life gives you a chance, take it. And when you rise, lift others." That night, as the moon shone over the town, Tund sat outside his workshop, just like his father used to, just like his mother used to. He looked up and whispered, "Thank you for not letting my story end in the streets." And somewhere in the silence, it felt like the wind carried his mother's voice again. Life may not always be kind, but you are stronger than life. Some children start life with love. Some start with pain. Some lose their way before they find it. But remember this always: your beginning does not define your ending. Your choices do. Your resilience does. And sometimes, one helping hand can change an entire destiny.